So I said, this is Rodric King. I said I was going to do a video on how to find a job in 30 days. And I'm going to break this down quick because it's a lot of information. It's not much, but if you can, pause the video right now, grab a pen and piece of paper, write this stuff down. All right? This is only if you're serious. I am the man at finding a job, and I can do it quick. And I've done it in cities all over the United States. From Atlanta, Georgia, Mississippi, to Maryland, Virginia, DC, Orlando, Florida. All right, I'm babbling. Let's get down to business. First thing you want to do is construct about 3 different resumes, depending on what particular industry you're in. If you're in transportation, build one for transportation. If you're in customer service, build one for customer service. General labor, general labor. General labor consists of working outside, labor pool. Even you can use general labor for cashier jobs, even though you might want to do one specific for cashier, but you can still use it for general labor. Just make sure you make specific resumes for specific industries or specific skill sets. If you're a plumber, make sure you build one just for plumber, because your experience is going to go at the bottom of these resumes, and they need to pertain to whatever type of industry you're applying for. So first thing you want to do before you even start looking for a job, start building your resume. That's the first thing. Now you want something called an application resources sheet. That's an ASR. You need an ASR. You're going to write down every job that you can think of that you've had. You're going to write down the dates. You're going to write down the people and the supervisors that was your immediate supervisor, their name, their phone number, their position. If you don't know it, find it out or make one up. You need to write all this on your application resources sheet. This is going to be built along with your resume. All right? So build your resume. Build about 3 different ones. Always have a general labor, because you never know. Ladies, you might apply for a maid position. You might apply for a cleaning position. You might apply for a clerk inside of a store, and you might not have a resume built specifically for that position. That's when your general labor comes in hand. And in your experience, you want to describe like you're good with your hands, you learn quick, just universal information, universal skills. You don't want to be too specific, but you want to be able to pertain to a universal amount of things that you can do. So after you have 3 different industries or 3 different positions or skill sets you want to attack, always have that universal one, because you never know, something might be a little bit outside of your skill set, but you still want to apply there, and they might require a resume. Build your resume. So once you have the 3 different types of resumes, build your application resources sheet. You need to do this. This is what consists of an application resources sheet. First thing you want to have is all your jobs, because when you apply for more demanding jobs or requires a more professional skill set, they may ask for your employment 10 years back. They may ask for your addresses or places you've lived at 10 years back. You want to have that on hand. You don't want to need to go on your phone. You don't want to have to do all these things that's going to make the application process longer, because your goal is to fill out 300 applications in a week, online, physically, and just submitting resumes. Those are the 3 avenues that you have to apply for a job. Resumes only, where they say only resumes. I'm sorry, it's about 4. Resumes only. You have the application, physical and online. So those are 1. So you have the resumes only, physical application or online application. You have the call or walk in, apply by walking in, or apply in person. And you want to separate those. Make sure you write those down, because those different ways that you need to apply, you need to record that. And I'll tell you what I mean by recording that later. So on your application resources sheet, you need to write out all your jobs. On a scratch sheet of paper, write down all your jobs, research all the address information, phone number information, and the dates that you worked there from start to finish. It may be hard for you to figure it out, but figure it out. You want to write down your dates in about 4 different formats. You want your month and year. You want your month and year wrote in numerical order. So that means 09 2014 or 03 March 03 20 2009, whatever. But you want to write it out, you want to abbreviate it, and you want it numerical. You want to write it in 3 different formats, maybe even 4. And you need to write those in those different formats. You need to type it up. Type it up, write it out first, then type it up. Why do you want to type it up? You want to save it on a flash drive. You want a physical paper copy of it on your person whenever you go to fill out your applications, whether you do that at home or you go to the library. And you want that whenever you go to a job interview, because if they ask you to fill out an application online, you fill it out, you go for the interview, and when you're at the interview, they say, here, fill out this paper application. Now you got to do the application over, but it's on paper this time. All right, so you want that sheet. So all your job information is right there. Every job asks for information differently. Some of them don't want the date. Some of them don't want the day that you work. They just want the month and the year. Some of them just want the year. But you want to have all of that information available. Some of them don't want your supervisor name. Some of them do. Have your supervisor name, have the phone number to your supervisor, have your title, have a description of your title, and about 4 different descriptions. All right? You want to describe your job in 4 different ways, okay? Of what you did, or your skills that you needed to use when you were working that job. You need to have all of that under each and every job. You want to go back as far as you can remember. Why? Because it may be a particular job that you worked and you only want to add those skills that you worked, like for customer service. I'm not going to put a job that I did general labor. I was working at the labor pool for a year and a half. If I can avoid that and still manipulate the chronological order a little bit, because sometimes in some applications you will need to manipulate your chronological order. If I know I worked at labor pool and I was working at McDonald's at the same time, I was a cashier at McDonald's, which shows my skill set of handling money and dealing with customers. But at the same time, I was doing general labor, which means I was using a mop and a broom and sweeping and all the other stuff. I may not say that I was working for a customer service position. I may not say that I was at the labor pool at this time. It may only manipulate a little bit, manipulate the time that I was working to make sure there's no gaps. So I would change that to make sure there's no gaps. And I would never say that I worked at. That makes sense? I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask me to do a video on it and I'll get more specific. So once you have all your details about all your jobs and everything is written out, you looked at the chronological order and everything fits in the right time set. After you have it, your dates in different formats, you have your manager's name, your manager's phone number, you have everything you require when it comes to if they ask anything about your job, the address, the name of the company, what was your position, how long were you there, all of that is filled out. Now you want to do the same thing with your addresses. You want to find out all the addresses that you've lived at. If it's not many, I moved around a lot, so I may have 10 and 11 different addresses. All right, sometimes if you think that's a particular job, they're going to have a problem with you moving around that much. Still write out all your addresses and fill in that time gap. Like if I can put in 9 addresses, which I actually can, to cover 7 years worth of time, if I didn't want to look so bad, I would use only 3 and manipulate my chronological order to make sure I show that I stayed at 3 addresses over 7 years worth of time, just so it doesn't look so bad to see how much I moved. Because they might want someone dependable that's going to be there long term, but if I moved and jumped around on my addresses a lot, then I might not want to put down 10 addresses to cover 7 years. So I manipulate that and only use 3 addresses and manipulate the chronological order and date it as if I stayed in 3 different places in 7 years. All right, so you need your employment. You need all that information on your application resources sheet, wrote in 3 different formats for the dates. All right, you need to have 4 different descriptions for each job on what you did in the skill set that you needed. And you need your addresses, and you need all the dates that you actually stayed. Do a real one. Do the real dates that you stayed. You can manipulate on different applications when the time is necessary. Now, once you have completed your application resources sheet, you want a physical copy on you. You want a flash drive, so it's downloaded onto your flash drive, and you want it in your email. If you have more than email, you want it in every single email that you use. If it's one that you don't use that much, save it in there too. So all you have to do is open up your Gmail. Like I got Gmail and Google account for my email. I use my Yahoo for main business for all the time. I just use Google because I can have it. So I would open up Yahoo. I would compose an email. I would put in my email address for the email, which is my Yahoo, and I will also do one for my Gmail. So I will put in the two who I'm sending this email to, send it to my Yahoo, and I'm sending it to my Gmail. I'm gonna put in the subject area resume for 2014, brand new, or anything to let me know that this is my newest up-to-date resume. And I'm gonna save that, and I'm gonna send that to each one of my emails after I add the attachment to make sure my resume goes to those different email addresses. Why do I need to do that? It might be a situation I don't have the physical copy, I don't have the hard drive, but I have access to it from my email. I can upload it on your computer and print it out now. If I don't have the internet as an option, I have a flash drive. I can plug it into your computer and I can pull it up and print it out right now, or email it. If I don't have none of those options, I have the physical copy right here where you can print it out or you can copy it and give it to a person. Like, you just want to have access to it no matter what the situation is. All right, so make sure your application resources sheet, you have copies of that everywhere. Same thing with your resume. You want all three of them everywhere. All right, after you have done that, this is the part where you start filling out application. Make sure when you start filling out applications, because your goal is 300 applications every single week. Every single week. All right, fill out when you like, let's say you go to the library, take that hard drive or go to your email, make sure you have your application resources sheet opened up on that desktop. Word is the common and most popular engine when you're building documents. So don't use all those other, I heard of OBT. It's a couple other ones that you can write and create. Make sure you use Word because it's common on mostly every device and every computer. Open up your application resources sheet on the desktop of the computer you're looking for jobs, and use the same information for your resume. Have the resume open on your desktop and your applications resources sheet. So when you start looking for jobs on the internet, you can copy and paste to make that process a little bit quicker. And make sure all the information that you're putting on that particular application, it corresponds with your resume. All right, always download or make sure you save a copy of your resume on the computer you're working on, because it's going to be some situations where you just need to upload it from the computer to that particular website or company or wherever you're filling out an application and you're required to have your resume. Download it to the desktop. Don't download it into no folders. Don't download it into my library. On the desktop, because whenever you're in an application and you click I want to attach my resume and you open up the browser to find that particular file, it's easiest to find it on the desktop. It's easiest to delete it off the desktop. It's easier to see it on the desktop. Save everything that you're going to use on that computer on the desktop every single time. All right, so once you fill out your applications, use engines. The best, the most popular and the quickest engines are Indeed, CareerBuilder.com, Craigslist. Those are my three main, because Craigslist, they'll send you to an application and you can go to their website and fill it out and come back to Craigslist. Or most of those just require you to send them a resume. All you have to do is copy paste, open up your email, send the resume off, and go to the next job. But while you're filling out all of your applications on CareerBuilder, Indeed.com, and Craigslist, and you're going through the process, every single application that you fill out, you need to have a separate sheet that's put together professionally to record every single job that you apply for. You need to know consciously how many jobs you applied for, and you need to keep space on every single job that you apply for to write a status. They never call, or I applied for this job on this day and I got an email on this day, and you need to just record. It's like keeping records. You know how they say paper trail, paper trail, paper trail? You do that on your job application process. When you're applying for jobs, treat it as a business. So if I'm applying for McDonald's, the lady who received my application and sent me an email and said she's going to be doing interviews on this particular day, I'm going to go to my resources sheet where I'm recording all the applications that I filled out and write possible interview or interview on this day. And separately, next, beside the application besides the applications where you're filling out all the jobs that you applied for and the type of way you applied for it, whether it's in person, whether it's by phone, whether it's by resume, whether it's online application, write that on the sheet. So your applications is the title of this particular sheet, and you're going to write on the application sheet, I applied for McDonald's in person, I applied for McDonald's online, I applied for McDonald's through resume, through Craigslist. If you get an interview, write interview where it's obvious that you got an interview, put a star next to that particular application or whatever. Now, that's your application sheet. Next, you need an interview sheet. Every time you get an interview, on application number 12 on my application sheet, that job called me for an interview. On your application sheet, job 11 on the application sheet, interview, time, date, person you talked to. And you're going to keep track of that, all of that. You're going to keep track of it. Once you find a job and you know who you're talking to and you don't need another job, you have all those records, and those people still going to be calling in. You're going to have so many calls that should be coming in. If you do 300 applications a week, it's going to be hard to keep up with everything. You're going to have somebody, yeah, I found your application online and I wanted to talk to you more about it. If you like, and they say the name of the company, you can go look at your application sheet, like, oh, that's this company, that's the job I really didn't want, but I applied for it anyway, but I don't want to work commission. But if I wouldn't have found this job, I would have worked this one, but I got this job. So now that I know who's calling me, I don't really want that, because that's no longer an option, because I'm working somewhere right now. So that won't be my second job. So the application sheet is really good. Every application you fill out, document it, be specific, so you can manage everything that's going on. Same thing, document your interviews. Have your application resources sheet with all your work history and your information, your chronological order when you worked and when you left. Also, all your descriptions, have at least 4 descriptions, because when you fill out applications, they're going to ask for that. I guarantee you're going to put in that same information, that exact same information, so much, you're going to memorize all that information by heart. After maybe your 50th application, you could get through applications in a day. You can get through probably like 100 of them. I promise you. I promise you. And you're going to find ways to cheat. You're going to find places where they only want resumes. You'll probably send your resume off to 60 people in like an hour, 2 hours time. And you'll probably spend another time applying. And also do the same thing with in person. If you have jobs, say apply in person, write apply in person, write, make that as a sheet, make that as a category, and write all the jobs that are in person, the time, the address, what position they're hiring for, the number, who you need to talk to. Have a separate sheet for that. You want a separate sheet for everything. You got to document everything, keep up with everything, and make sure you change your voicemail. If you have a voicemail, whatever number you're providing on your resume and on your applications, don't have a voicemail. Hey, this is Rodric. Those of you that know I don't mess with you, don't call me. But anybody, if you know I talk to you, leave me a message at the beat. Go. No. If you're going to have at least 20 to 30 people calling you for a job, change your voicemail. Make sure it fits your criteria. Make sure it fits everything that you're putting on your application. Sound professional. Hi, this is Rodric King. I'm sorry I'm unavailable right now, but if you give me a call back, leave your name and your number. No, I'm sorry. This is Rodric King. I'm sorry I'm unavailable right now, but if you leave your name and your number, I'll get back with you just as soon as I possibly can. Thank you and have a great day. Make sure you sound happy, energetic, like don't leave, yeah, this is Tisha. Call me back. No, this is Tisha. I give you a call back when I get your message. Holla. No. Be professional. You got to look for a job as if it's a business. Run it like it's a business. I guarantee you, if you do everything right and you wake up every single day, dedicate 8 to 10 hours every single day, you will find a job. If your city doesn't really have a high demand for jobs, look in neighboring cities. Even be willing to move. If it's feasible, be willing to move. Look for jobs in Atlanta. Look for jobs in Virginia. Look for jobs in California. If you have to get up and leave to go find you a job and that's what you prefer to do, do it. Don't be stuck to one city, because I'll be honest with you, Mississippi didn't have that many demands for jobs, But guess what? Virginia did, Orlando did, Atlanta did, and that's where I left and went to. When I was in Jacksonville and I couldn't find a job, I said, screw it. I'm going to look for a job anywhere in the United States. I found one in Atlanta, I left. Do it. If you want a job, follow these instructions, okay? Interview process. If you want me to do a video on interviews, because I used to be a regional manager. I was a regional manager for 4 to 5 years. So being a regional manager that long, I've done a lot of interviews and I know what to look for. The interview starts with the secretary. As soon as you walk in the door, the secretary are already debating on who has dressed the part, who has the energetic or the positive attitude, who's not nervous, who's confident. They are already conducting the interview and you don't even know it. As soon as you walk in the door, your conversations that you have with the other interviewees, the conversation that you're having, that's going to be explained after you're gone. They might mark something on your application after you know how they say, come in here, fill this out and take a seat. They're listening. After you turn the application in, they're going to write something on there that symbolizes wherever their communication is with whoever's interviewing. They're going to let you know this is a person you might not want to hire. This is what I saw. This is what I felt. Sometimes the interviewer is the one that's sitting at the in the secretary's desk. You don't know that either. But anyway, these are just insider secrets. But follow all this. This is going to be a quick recap. Make sure before you start looking for jobs, build your resume. Build your resume to perfection. You want 3 different ones, 3 different industries. Service, mine is usually customer service, management, another resume for general labor or cashier. So that's 4. You want to build a resume that shows skills of that particular skill set or that particular industry. If I drive trucks, driver or transportation industry, looking for a job in a demanding transportation industry. And then your experiences should show that you've done that before. Or if you have no experience, wing it. Find out. You can't put information that pertains that you haven't. Use a general labor resume. After you build your resume, you have 3 to 4 different ones so you can apply for something that leans towards your industry or your skill set. Make sure you build your application resources sheet. Write down all your job information from the time you ever worked your first job up until where you are now. Everything. And even when you haven't had a job in that time frame, if someone could talk to you and say, you know what, you're a pretty cool dude, or you're pretty smart, or you're pretty business savvy. That time, that year and a half that you weren't working, say you was running a business. My business was called Prodigy Carpet Cleaning Company. I ran this company with my friend. We did this such amount of years. Write it all down as if it was a real job. That gap that you wasn't working, if you're smart enough, if they ask you questions about that and you could come off and roll off information as if you're not lying and it's believable, write that in as a job. Practice it even. Yeah, we had about 2 vans. Business wasn't going as well because, you know, after the little crisis with the economy and such time, it just didn't work out. So now I went back to the working industry, but it cost so much money to close the company down. We was leasing the vans for such amount of money, and the contracts just wasn't coming through anymore like they used to. So business just slowed down. We ended up selling it. So that's what happened with my company. But it was fun. It was a great experience. I got a chance to see how it is running a business, working with a partner. I had great customers. Customer service is so important when you're independent. Like, have that conversation as if you've done that before. Practice with somebody. It's a lie, but you're trying to get a job. It's other people trying to get a job too. You're not the only one. Why should they pick you over them? So yes. So after the interview process, no, where did I left off? I'm sorry. I'm going everywhere. So going back to, build your application resources sheet. Make sure every job that you apply for, have a separate sheet for that, and order that to a point to where every job you apply for is written down. How you applied for it, the name of the job, who you talked to, if you talk to somebody, a number, address, all the information that you can write down, write it down. And you want to keep track. You got to hit 300 applications in 7 days. And the phone should be ringing every day from that day for like a month or so. If you go a few weeks and you haven't heard anything, do another 300. If you heard nothing, do another 300. Don't be scared to apply for jobs you know you don't qualify for. Don't be scared to apply for jobs that you would never work. Don't be scared to look for things directly in your industry, and because it's not always going to be there. But just improvise. The more you get good at looking for jobs, you're going to find search engines that work a little bit better for you, that has your criteria. You like the way you apply. You like that they only ask for a resume. You'll find your likes and dislikes, and you'll know how to manipulate everything for your behalf just to get you that interview. All right. So after the application resources sheet, make sure that you have your applications documented, everything that you applied for. Make sure that all your in-person applications are in-person applications that you filled out. Write those down. All the interviews that you've had, write those down. Paper trail, paper trail, paper trail. All the interviews that you get, write those down on a separate sheet. You should be looking at a list, and you should see how you track. Like I filled out 120 applications. I got 4 responses on this day. Check your email regularly. That's another thing. Clean your email out. Before you start applying at all these jobs, clean out your email. The spam folder should be empty. Your inbox should be empty. Or you should folderize any emails that you need. Classify them. Like, it takes time to organize and structure yourself to a point to where when you start applying that you're ready, but it has to be done. Clean out your spam. Clean out your inbox. And if you're getting a lot of spam emails that's coming to your inbox, go to the bottom of them. Like, it takes time. It may take you 3 to 4 hours to do this properly. Go to your inbox. If you say, oh, you won this, go to the bottom, find a unsubscribe and unsubscribe for it. It may take a week or 2, but you don't have to worry about that coming in no more. Do it to the next email. If it says a block, take me off the list, unsubscribe, go to the bottom of the email, find that button, click the unsubscribe. It may tell you to enter your email. It may tell you to press enter. It may just say, okay, you've been opted out of our email, our news listing, or whatever it is. They should take you out of it. So when you start looking for jobs, you don't have to worry about these unnecessary emails coming in. Clean out your email. All right. That's basically it. That is basically it. If you want a video on interviews, I could do that. All right. But if you like this information, pass it on to somebody else. I know it's a 30-minute video. It's long, but hell, I can guarantee you it was worth it. I guarantee you got something out of it that you didn't know. And what I usually do when I'm building my resumes, I look up resume templates online, and I construct my resume based off a template. I may add some things in other templates that I may like, and I may take away some things in the template that I don't like. But I always make sure it looks good to me. I make sure it because a lot of people say, oh, but you got to worry about what looks good to them. Well, you got to feel comfortable giving something that, you know, when you put your time and effort into it, it shows in your energy. When somebody's reading your resume and they be like, okay, so it says here you did this. You know exactly what you put on there. You know how you put it on there. You've been looking at it for the past 2, 3, 4 weeks. You can describe everything on that resume. If it wasn't a real job, you know how, based off this video, you know exactly how to describe it to make them feel like you really worked there. All right, so anyway, I think that's about it. If you have any questions, leave those comments below so I can answer those. I've been using this system for looking for jobs for about a long time, maybe 4 or 5 years. And when I pull out, look at this, look at that, just look at that. Can you see that? Where is it? Right there. Hell, let me turn around so I can see. Now accepting applications, supervising sales associates. Inquire within. But yeah, so anyway, I think y'all get the picture. Questions? Shoot them at me. All right. Love y'all. Peace. This is Rodric King. Holla.